It is your moment to rise. The technical and cultural shifts that are happening right now need leaders. But are you going to bring that leadership and that innovation and inventiveness to a company that doesn't care how well you're rewarded, compensated, or even how happy or well you are? It is time for you to build something for yourself. This is the age of the individual. It's a movement. And the fastest way to capitalize on it is with an experienced guide and a cohort of your peers, driving you and pushing you to the next level. The Forge Genesis will open up those skills that you never thought you had. The skills that will enable you to thrive and prosper once again, like you deserve. Now recruiting for the spring 2026 cohort. Go to learning.fusechamber.com to find out more about the Forge Genesis. Lately, I've been obsessed with the concept of voice, especially in the times that we live in. That's this week on the Badass Agile podcast.
Greetings, team. Welcome to the Badass Agile podcast. I'm your host, Chris Williams.
Hey, friend, welcome back. Thanks for coming to visit. These past few weeks, I've been talking a lot about the importance of voice in what we do. When change happens rapidly, when it seems like chaos is all around us, people look for one thing: clear, strong voices to follow. Before we dig in, let's take a moment to remember why we're here. To create an elite tribe of leaders who truly serve their clients and communities by doing what matters and what works, relentlessly chasing value and excellence like a badass. There's so many resources out there about what you need to do to be agile, but we focus on who you need to become in order to lead teams. So let's hammer down those fundamentals to create a truly unique and powerful voice in this industry. If you love this episode and it helps you, do me a favor and share it around with your friends in your network. Sitting here right now, beginning of 2026, it feels like a confluence of forces, a whirlwind of change coming at us from all sides. There's political instability, financial uncertainty, there's the rapid pace of change in technology, of course, but also the resultant change in culture and work that really started big time around the pandemic, but has reached fever pitch, especially in our industry, as the needs of businesses and the people who work for them has fundamentally changed. There's a lot new and scary going on, and when things are scary and uncertain, most people are looking for clear, confident, and certain voices to help them make sense of it. Now, the thing is, in this age, everyone has a voice, for better or worse. Anyone can create a podcast, a blog, a newsletter, a Facebook or LinkedIn profile. And on the one hand, that's good. But on the other hand, there's no curation of the voices worth listening to. Now, as it happens, the cream usually rises to the top. In that regard, I've been a little bit lucky. You heard the intro to this podcast to create an elite tribe of leaders. My vision initially was to be a beacon of certainty, a source of information for people who knew one thing: that they wanted to serve with the tools and the skills that they had, but weren't exactly sure how to do it well. It turns out I have a bit of a knack for calling trends, for sensing the pulse of my colleagues and my contemporaries. If I look back on all the things that I built over the past 10 years, my successes relied chiefly on sensing what it was that people out there actually need and then providing it for them in a way that others couldn't. It's one thing to have a voice and to use it by just spewing out into the vacuum. It's another thing entirely, though, to be intentional about your voice. Isn't it interesting? We're learning in these very political times that the voices that thrive, the ones that come out victorious, tend to be the voices that are rooted in virtue and service. Things can look pretty bleak sometimes. This landscape is scary, and for a while, it kind of looked like nobody was coming to save us, that maybe we were sliding backwards down a slippery hill. A few strong voices, just average folks like you and me, have persisted. And that's my favorite thing about movements. A movement is something that inspires other people to follow. Not just follow, but I think what I do is enable and empower people to create the mechanics of the movement on their own. I say something, a deeply rooted belief, a standpoint, usually a counterculture one. And the right people hear it and say, yes, that's me. That's what I need. That's what my customers need. And they take it from there. The how is really quite simple. If you've ever studied things like art, music, poetry, drama, we can study those things all day long, just like we can study gravity, but you can't manufacture or control gravity. You're simply an observer. You're documenting outcomes and trying to make sense of what you see. Eloquent language, beautiful, emotionally charged writing happens as a result of the experiences that you've had and the deep burning desire you've got to communicate what you feel. There is no science to this thing. I hear people talk about the neuroscience of Agile or the science of Agile all the time. The truth is, Agile is of human invention. Therefore, it's finite in its complexity. If a person came up with it, that person can explain it. Another person can understand it and implement it. It's the things that we don't control that are difficult to learn. If you're in an Agile team room, you have a team that doesn't want to play ball or is resistant or is sabotaging. Those are human factors. Those human factors are outside of our creation. We don't control them. All we can do is experiment, learn, try, fail, learn some more, and do it all over again. So when it comes to leadership, all I can tell you for sure is that the best way to get started and to do it well is to try it, do it wrong, and improve as you go. The time that we waste trying to study this stuff, the 88 stances of a Scrum Master, there's the various wheels, there's always a wheel of some kind. Folks, there is no wheel. Either you can move people towards an outcome or you can't. It's simply a question of which voices do people listen to and trust and act upon. And I think the purpose of the show has always been to create that voice, to create that movement. We're living in a time right now where I think you'll agree, nobody really knows anything for sure. Conditions can change on a dime, and they do. And we're stuck just kind of reacting to it. But I think we've reached a moment, especially in our profession, where we can't just sit back and wait for someone else to take the reins. It's apparent nobody really knows exactly what to do. Agile started tanking probably back in 2021, and it is not getting better. It's getting worse. Jobs are harder to find, they pay less and less, but there's an interesting cross-current too. I've noticed that work has become less humane. It feels more like indentured servitude, pensions, matching retirement contributions, benefits, vacation time, work-life balance, all of those things, if you mention them today, they're almost a running joke. We have lost something in the contract. It used to be if you gave your loyalty to a company, they were loyal back to you. You were treated well. You were respected. You were not disposable. You were a person. We seem to have forgotten that. With a relentless focus on creating shareholder value, which, by the way, is only going to get worse as the expectation rolls in that AI is going to make it easier, faster, and cheaper to build more stuff and generate more profit, we're going to see greater and greater levels of burnout. Big problems with wellness. It doesn't look like things are going to get easier. Oh, sure, AI will make your job easier, but only so that you can go faster and do more with less. I heard an interesting quote the other day. Someone mentioned that now everyone is a company, and I think that's true. I think the skills that you're going to need to survive, no matter what job you do in the not-too-distant future, will be the ability to sense a need in the marketplace and to react and respond to it, including your ability to sell your experiences, to sell your unique point of view, to sell your voice. I think we're becoming more individualistic because we're forced to. The market doesn't see having employees as a privilege. It sees it as a burden. It doesn't consider talent its greatest asset. It treats it like it's its biggest headache, and that's a mistake. And we're going in a direction where more and more people are saying, hey, wait a second, why exactly do I commute every day using 3 or 4 hours of my own time and my own money to show up at a job where I'm not promised steady income? The amount I'm getting paid doesn't really meet the increasing cost of living and inflation. I don't get it. This doesn't seem to be working, and I think it's close to breaking. But I think when it breaks, it's going to break for the better. It's going to break with the realization that you as an individual can offer things to other people, individuals or companies. But before you can make your mark, you have to know how to create movements. Your voice matters. But it can't just be any voice. It needs to be strong. It needs to be certain. It needs to be rooted in service. It needs to respond and react to changes in the market, the way that people feel and what they need as a result. And that is something, my friends, that big companies, as you know, can't do at scale, at speed. But you can. It's like a lawless gold rush right now. You don't have any approval chains. You don't have to wait for your ideas to gain traction for 6 months to collect signatures. You don't have to deal with a boss who's worried about you looking smarter than they do, who might try to sabotage your efforts, your progress. But it requires a very new skill, a skill that really didn't exist or had no necessity 20 years ago. The ability to sense what's needed to solve that problem for a group of people who have the same belief systems as you do, who want the same things, who need what you offer, and to speak to them in a way that magnetizes them, sort of like a mini culture. Difference being you get to define it. And you might say, well, what if I define the wrong thing? I'm not very good at this. There's 8 billion people on this planet. Somebody out there will think, believe, and feel the same way you do. And then the things that you make are just for them. And the shocking reality that I've discovered is that even a small handful of people is more than enough. More than enough to sustain a living, more than enough to build something that can grow over time. As I said before, it seems like I have a bit of a knack for creating these kinds of movements. Finding tribe. What a difference it makes to feel that there's a group of people out there who can't live without you, that you offer massive value, maybe even change their lives. That's been one of the privileges of making this show, is discovering those people. And for that, I owe you my gratitude. So I'll be talking more about voices and movements, why it matters, how it shaped my career in the past 10 years, and how I think it will serve you going forward, whether you're going to stay in the Agile game or do something completely different. Now, let's talk about the voice of the week. Let me introduce you to Fred Deichler. If you're an Agile coach or Scrum Master right now, you're definitely thinking about AI. You might currently range from poking around to utterly obsessed. You could be playful and prompting your way up to building some incredible stuff that might change the world. Fred is one of those people actually building things, not just talking about AI. And unlike most of us, he's writing about it too. He's been sharing his thoughts on what he's able to do with AI, but also how it affects our practice. He writes about the practice and the Agile industry itself. You know what? I'm interested. He writes well, but you can tell he's out there not really sure what all of this is for or how it's all going to shake out, but he's doing it anyway. That's how I got started in this business, and that's how you know someone is going to do great things. So check out Fred Deichler at triforceagility.com. Okay, my friend, it's a new world out there. You know, something Agile has been around for 25 years. To expect that it's going to operate the same way it did 25 years ago is foolish. It isn't the same world. Everything has changed, except us. It's time to use that voice. It's time to create new, bigger, better movements that speak to the times that we live in. So stick with me. I'm definitely changing what I talk about, but you don't really need me to tell you how to run a stand-up anymore, do you? I didn't think so. If you'd like my help building your voice, creating that movement, you can reach out to me at chris@badassagile.com or in the coordinates in the show notes below. You can find my products and services at learning.fusechamber.com. As always, I look forward to next time, and until then, stay badass.